My name's Emmanuel. I'm 20 years old. I'm a college student. Dealing with social anxiety is pretty tough, especially someone at my age or any younger or even older, or actually just having it in general is just pretty tough. And this is kind of a personal thing that I'm doing for myself, but if I can help anybody along the way, that'd be pretty cool. Social anxiety, what is it? I guess I don't really have to explain it if you have it already. It's this weird feeling that you feel inside your body. You live with this uncomfortability of having the people be around other people. It's pretty hard to explain for someone who's a bit more extroverted and doesn't really have problems talking with other people. For me personally, I'm pretty open. I don't really have problems talking with people on a personal, like, one-on-one kind of thing. That doesn't really make me nervous. It's the whole kind of group of people, and the way I see it is, it's really noticeable when you're in this group setting and there's no, like, order to it. For example, when you're in school and you get put in a group activity, and the teacher gives you like a very specific task that you have to do. You don't feel, you still feel anxious, but it's not as bad because like, okay, like, this is what I have to do. I get it done and it's done. But when it's kind of like one of those situations where you're in a group and you just have to, like, just talk, make small talk with people, it's like the scariest thing. You feel like your heart starts racing, and these, like, biological responses that you really can't control. And for me personally, I get this a lot when I'm in class, and the teacher does that thing when she goes, or she, or he or she goes around asking people the same question, and this anticipation builds up, because you're thinking to yourself, what is my answer to the question going to be? What if people think, weirdly about me? Generally, this is more prevalent with icebreakers. Everybody hates those, but people like me, with social anxiety, hate it even more because it's just, like, even more awkward. For me personally, I don't feel that comfortable walking, in the street, for example. Like, I feel like people, like, kind of staring at me, like, the way I walk or something like that. And, that was something that bothered me more so when I was younger. Now I kind of dealt with it a little bit better. When you have social anxiety, at least I did, I thought to myself a lot, like, like, you think to yourself, like, what's what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I be like that person? Why can't I have fun doing things that other people would normally have fun doing? And it really affects your mentality, especially at a younger age, when you don't particularly enjoy a certain activity and you feel like something's wrong with you and you just can't. It's like a mental block in your mind. And what I've learned actually pretty recently is, you've got to learn to accept yourself. And that's what I did. I'm not the kind of person. I don't like going to parties. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't do things that I personally would believe that a lot of people my age would do. And I found myself a lot trying to conform to uh, other groups, especially in high school. Like ninth grade, I'd have one group of friends, 10th grade another, 11th grade another. So back trying to, like, kind of like find your place. And now I realize, like, I shouldn't, or you shouldn't want to be a part of something that that you don't share the same kind of values and things with. Dealing with peer pressure is another thing. Um, Someone with social anxiety, they're more likely to kind of give into it because it's, awkward standing up for yourself, I guess, saying, like, no, I don't want to do that. You're more likely to have a herd mentality and you're just following along with the group. Not often do you see someone give you advice who's still, like, having a hard time dealing with it. you'll hear stories of people who are like way like older, in their 30s or late 20s, who are much later part of their life, and they have more experience to talk about. But I feel like, for me, I kind of add a different perspective on it, because like I'm only 20 years old, and I'm probably in the same situation as a lot of you are out there. You're trying to, how do I deal with this? And I'm actually a psychology major, so I'm studying a lot of psychology. And one thing I could say is that therapy definitely helps a lot. I know one of the first things that they do when you go to therapy is they try to make sure that whatever is going on in your life, that you can still function like day to day. You can still go to school, you can still go to work, you can do all things perfectly fine while you still deal with whatever it is you're going through at the time. And for me, I haven't gone to therapy. I've had this mentality where like I'm not at a point where I feel like I need to go. Like I can deal with my own stuff. I can still function. I can still do all that. But I know eventually I will in the future. I will go, because I think it's important that everybody goes through that experience of like having someone with professional expertise guide you and help you throughout your life and whatever it is you're going through. Here's a tip for anybody who has to do a presentation. Um, if you're up there presenting, and if you're like me, like how I am right now, and you're presenting or talking in front of people, and your throat gets really dry, just have like a bottle of water up there with you, and you just stop, take a moment, slow down, and you just take a drink of water. It's definitely a better idea than you just stay there and just keep rambling on and on because you're so nervous. You just keep talking so fast. But yeah, the biological aspect in terms of, you get nervous, your throat gets dry, your mouth gets dry, you talk so fast, and it's like, you're like a train going off the tracks. Like you just can't slow down. You kind of like have like you freak out. And panic attacks actually another thing. I've had panic attacks when I was a kid, when I was younger. I can't really speak too much on it. Like I feel like that was more from separation anxiety. But panic attacks, it's, a lot of people, think about anxiety and they think it's not like a real thing, but it definitely is. But yeah, panic attacks. I had one recently this past summer, and it's kind of like everything that you would normally feel having anxiety in general, but just coming at you like just all at once, and it's just so much. It's just you just get overloaded, and you kind of just like break down, and sometimes you may cry. And that's another thing about crying. You know, social anxiety. It's kind of hard. It's pretty hard to make friends. I know for myself. Right now, top of my head, like how many close friends do I have? Less than five, probably. And I've never really had like a group of friends that I could say I was a part of. If you ever watch like a sitcom on a TV show, it's like a group of friends who always do everything together. Like I never had that, and I wanted that. I looked for that in high school, but it's something I never got. I still wanted that. I would still like that to this day. I think it's cool to have like a group of friends you can always, like talk to, hang out with, or whatever. But someone like me, that's pretty hard because you can't really. I know for myself, like I'm pretty self-aware of my own problems. With that comes with social anxiety, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint. Like why, like even if you do have social anxiety, like if you really think about it, like why is it so hard to make friends? Like you, like is it because you're awkward, they may not like you back? You kind of question yourself and you second guess yourself, and it kind of messes with your confidence. It definitely messes with your confidence a lot. But in terms of emotionally, you don't have a lot of friends, and that can make you feel pretty lonely a lot. Um, for me, definitely when I was younger, like these like feelings of like loneliness with the social anxiety made me, pretty sad at times. I wouldn't say I was ever, depressed. Like I don't like to use that term pretty lightly. Um, I don't like to use that term lightly at all. Yeah, I wouldn't say I was ever depressed per se. Um, but I definitely had times, I was pretty sad, and I think at times like those, like it's okay to cry. If you're somebody who believes that crying is weakness, I think that's pretty ridiculous because crying is like it's a human thing. Like we all do it. It's a way to express our emotions, and when you're feeling sad, I think it's okay to just kind of just let it out every once in a while. You gotta just like really just let it all out, and trust me, like you'll feel way better afterwards than if you kept on holding it in. Like I can tell you that for sure. Like even me doing this right now, like this is something like I would have never expected to like I would have never thought that I'd be doing something like this. You know, think if you really think about it, I'm literally just sitting here just talking to my phone, and I'm looking at myself, which is weird in itself. Um, so I guess it's not as nerve wracking because really I'm just talking to myself, but the idea that there may be someone watching me through this video, which is a little bit like kind of crazy to me. That's just me though. How do you deal with it? This part is pretty personal for me. I'm not here this part specifically to give any advice on what you should do because I'm only 20. I don't have all of the answers, and nor like should I at this point at this age. Uh, so like how do I deal with it to be more specific? Like I mentioned before, kind of knowing who you are and kind of accepting it is pretty important. Just to go back on that a bit, that doesn't, at least for me, uh, it doesn't necessarily say that I will like never do certain things ever because of my social anxiety. Like, some things are just kind of like it's some things aren't. I don't do these kind of things consistently. Like what else will I never? Well, to be specific, I probably won't ever do drugs. Like I don't see myself doing that. To be honest, drinking, I don't like doing it. Um, but if there's a scenario like for example when I turn 21 on my birthday, like and like people that I know like want to like I guess go out and like drink for example, I'll probably maybe I'll be open to it, but it's not like a every day, every week kind of thing that I would be into. The party aspect kind of I don't know if you would see a lot of people with social anxiety go to parties. At least I know I wouldn't because it's just another group setting with people you don't know. That's pretty awkward and weird, unless you have like unless it's like people or like a group of friends that you're going with. Like that's something different. But yeah, just going there and just the idea of like being yourself is weird because um at least in my mind being myself isn't what how other people are. Like I like to think myself like I'm pretty like different. I'm pretty unique compared to other people. Like anybody who's talked to me would see that. People feel pretty comfortable talking to me, and they could kind of see that I'm kind of awkward just from like body language. Like people with social anxiety, you can kind of tell pretty easily just by body language. uh, Everybody has like different mannerisms that they do. Like for example, for me, like if like I play with my hair, if I like touch my nose, just something like that. It's just like kind of just like break contact with the person and kind of just like I feel weird. I gotta do something like to like break the eye contact or whatever. But yeah, I guess I would say going out of your comfort zone is something that you should try to do. Like it's something I'm still working on. But yeah, the best thing I would say is therapy. That's pretty helpful. Like honestly, like like I don't know, like I don't have the answers. I kind of just I take everything day by day, you know. I don't like to um dwell on the past or on the future too much. You know, I have this mindset where, you know, like I appreciate the past, I live in the moment, but I think about the future. And by that what I mean is, you know, you look back in the past and everything that's happened in the past has brought you to the moment where you are right now. So you gotta take advantage and live in that moment where you are, but everything you're doing right now is an idea of what should be planned out for the future. That's kind of just like a mindset that I have. Another mindset that I have is the idea that another mindset that I have is the idea that you shouldn't feel like you need people or someone, but you should want them. And by that, what I mean is you shouldn't be so dependent on somebody to be there for you and kind of like just have them as a crutch to fall back on. You know, that shouldn't be the that shouldn't be your priority when making a relationship, building a relationship or a friendship with anybody. You know, you shouldn't need them, but you should want them instead. You know, I don't need you to be able to live my life, but I want you. Like that's the difference. That's the kind of like mindset that I kind of have. I don't know about other people, but I know for myself, I have this image in my head of myself being confident, being able to talk to people, not having my throat get dry when I'm in a conversation, like just me, like a better version of me. Like I can visually see that, like see me in a better version of myself. And with social anxiety, it's like you try to get to that, but it's like a almost like a mental block in your mind, and you just gotta find some way to kind of just get over that. And right now, I'm at a point in my life where I've made a lot of changes recently, changes that I think that could be beneficial for anyone. You know, like I went have had a pretty tough summer this past summer. I'm not gonna really go into it right now, maybe for another video. But like I've changed a lot about myself. Taking care of yourself is a really thing that you should be focusing on, especially at this age. Being able to live independently, you know, taking care of yourself. Whether it's making sure you get enough food to eat, drinking enough water, eating the right food, getting adequate exercise, your hygiene, you know, things like that. And I made a lot of changes this summer. Like I've changed my diet. Like I lost like 20 to 25 pounds. Like I used to be between 175 and 180. Now I'm like 155, and I feel like a lot better. And that would definitely help. I'd say it did help me with my social anxiety because I feel more confident about myself. I feel more comfortable in my own skin. I also feel like great. Like I feel healthy. Like I feel way better than I did before. You know, things like that. Getting enough sleep. Um, that's probably something I'm still kind of working. Like I'd say I do get enough sleep. It's just I probably sleep a little bit too late. Like right now it's like 1 in the morning right now. Like I don't know why I'm doing this at 1 in the morning. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, I'm just like a 20-year-old kid trying to learn how to, you know, be their own person with all the problems that I have. And you know, everybody has problems, but this is kind of just my own personal thing. I feel like talking about it to imaginary people kind of helps me. Unless you're real, that if you're real, you can comment on this so I can know that you're real. Um, but yeah, it'd be pretty cool, like, you know, years from now, if I look back and I see all this and I can literally see how much, hopefully, I would have progressed from this moment right now to, you know, years in the future. And yeah, you know, I look forward to doing more of these, talking about different subjects, because, you know, I have a pretty interesting viewpoints on a lot of things, and I just like to talk a lot about just whatever. And yeah, I look forward to doing more of these.